All right, boys. Who's ready to talk some OU Nebraska?
Oh yeah.
Boomer,
Big-
100%.
Biggest game of the season thus far. That's not saying a lot, but this is a huge game. We know the tradition, we know the history, we know all of that stuff. OU's first true road game of the Brent Venables era. This is a massive, massive game for so many reasons, in my opinion. The first one being you want to see how this team responds on the road because they're going to get hit in the mouth at some point. This is a Nebraska team with an interim head coach. They don't look great. They're 1-2. They're allowing over 30 points a game. Look, this defense that Nebraska has is not good, and we can break it down in a little bit, but OU's favorite at 11. I'm of the opinion if OU doesn't cover, that's a loss. You have to cover this game because Nebraska is not a good team, and they're lost right now. They're with an interim head coach. They can't stop anybody. Their offense is talented. I will give you that. Casey Thompson is electric. I watched back the game highlights from their first 3 games. Casey Thompson looks every bit the part. Credit to him. But I'm interested to see how this OU team responds when they're 1, the favorite, and 2, a favorite in a true road game. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Mace. I don't think not covering this game is gonna be a loss. Like I don't think I would see it as a loss. I think this is going to be extremely emotional. I think you're going to have a Nebraska team that, like we have talked about earlier, is going to feel like their back is up against the wall. And they have an interim coach, and they have their most historic rival coming into their territory for the first time in 10 years. I think there's going to be a lot of emotion in this game. And I do think we're going to win this game after watching a little bit of Nebraska's defense. It, like you said, it's not very good. But at the same time, I don't want us, in my mind, I don't want to go in thinking this 11.5 cover. I think this is going to be like a OU Texas style, fight to the end, just because of the emotions that are at play and where we are and where Nebraska is right now.
Yeah. Look, OU's not going to hold them to 13 points. They're just not. I think Nebraska has the horses that they're probably going to score around 20 points. Maybe more than that. They're Casey Thompson looks great. They're able to run the ball very well. It's going to be interesting to see how the OU defense matches that physicality because they're going to try to come out and hit OU in the mouth from the jump. So that's going to be interesting for me to see. And I talked last week and I mistakenly said that OU wasn't really going to face any more big time running quarterbacks like they did with Schlee against Kent State. I'm dead wrong. Casey Thompson is a certified problem back there. He had a great game against Georgia Southern. He looked really, really good. It's not his fault. His defense can't stop anybody.
Casey Thompson can run the ball well. I agree with you. But fun fact, we had last year when we played against him, negative 24 yards. So he didn't get a single yard.
That accounts for sacks, I believe.
Okay.
In college, it accounts. It's in college, it's
or is it part of the passing stats?
College, it's pass yards. NFL, it's rush yards. I believe.
So weird. I hate that. Why can't we be consistent?
Well, the passing yardage, just to note, that was 388 yards. So it did pass well against us last year, but not running. Other things, my opinion, I think it's a loss if we don't win by 20. I expect us to win by 20. We're ranked 6th in the nation. It's time to start acting like it. And I think we are acting like it, but we've got to get off to a better start. And that's going to be key. And that's really what I want to see going into this game, because we have not gone with an electric first half and played first half, second half, the best kind of football we can play.
I thought it was interesting that Ryan mentioned the emotions of this game. And I agree that it has the potential to be emotional, but if you're trying to build a program that rivals that of Clemson and Alabama and Georgia, you don't get caught up in the emotions. Right. You know you're the better team. They're going to be emotional. You don't need to be. You go out there and you do your job because you're the better team, and you step on their throat from the start, and you don't get caught up in them screaming and hollering and all that stuff. Don't worry about it. Just do what you got to do. So I agree that there's going to be some emotions, but it shouldn't be on OU side.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I genuinely hope that I see them just come in and completely demolish that. I would love to see that. but I've seen enough OU Texases. I've realized how important this rivalry has been historically to a lot of people, including a lot of those fans that are going to be in Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. And I just am preparing my mental state for that.
Yeah.
So going into it.
Matt Gann, get in there. Matt Gann, get in there.
I mean, we talk about the defense for Nebraska not being very good, but the offense is producing 35 points per game and over 500 yards of offense. So I think this is more of a true test for OU's defense. Look, you gave off some fantastic stats. Number 1 in tackles for loss. Hey, those are great, but it's also against UTEP and Kent State. We're going on the road. Shut up. Let's get it. This is what it has to be for the defense. I think a win is not giving up more than 20 points for the defense. If they can do that on the road against Casey Thompson, that offense, that's a win in my book. I don't think the offense will hopefully not struggle as much, but if we have a first half like we did against Kent State, Nebraska might win the football game.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
There's no way we're going to come back and play like the way we did. We're going to give up 15, 20 points because they're going to be on the field the entire first half if that happens.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously, everyone knows about Casey Thompson. They have 2 talented running backs, Anthony Grant, who has scored 5 touchdowns for them on the ground this year, and AJ Allen. Both of these guys have, run the ball. They're horses for them on the ground, but neither are really receiving targets. And their leading receiver is a guy named Trey Palmer. He has almost twice the number of catches as the next guy. He has 18, just for reference, and only averages about 12 yards a catch. I didn't watch a ton of tape, but it seems to me like he's Casey Thompson's check down go-to guy. And they only have 2 guys. This guy, Marcus Washington, he's gone 10 for 181 yards, and Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, a New Mexico State transfer, who went 4 for 120 against Northwestern, as their more deep threat guys. The interesting thing to me is neither of the running backs have caught many passes. So our linebackers are going to be free to either go for the quarterback or trail back in the defense. That's what I'm going to be watching, is how much does the back 7 go versus stay, and what kind of coverages do we play back there.
To Mark's point, Anthony Grant, 6.2 yards a carry for Nebraska. That's
almost Marcus Major.
That was just about to say that. This game screams Marcus Major to me, because if you watch back the tape, Georgia Southern threw for a lot of yards, but they ran the ball basically whenever they wanted against Nebraska's defense. And for me, this screams Marcus Major, feed him the rock. Eric Gray is going to get his touches. I get that. I have a feeling that if we start to see the move to Marcus Major, this is the game we see it, because he's going to be able to run in between the tackles better than Eric Gray, I believe. And he's just a physical runner. That this is where we need to see something from this offensive line as well. You have Wanye Morris back, Robert Control's back in a backup role. You have the horses. You have to dominate this team up front, because their defensive line is not good. You have to push them around if you're going to be any sort of good offensive line. And now that you have Wanye back and everybody's back to the position that they originally were in camp, they have no more excuses. Like, they got to improve this week.
I bet we still see Eric Gray getting more touches than Marcus.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he's not breaking tackles very quickly, I think Marcus comes in.
Hopefully, short leash.
Yeah,
because last week showed you, man, you take out that long run and Eric just wasn't getting it done.
And
Nebraska has better. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Levy said he was stubborn. He was trying to get the run game going when he probably shouldn't have been as stubborn about that. But hey, he expected Eric Gray to make those plays. So
right,
yeah, we'll see.
Anybody else anything to add on Nebraska? I want to get the stats in front of me. There it is. Georgia Southern's quarterback, by the way, last week threw for 409 yards. I think Dylan Gabriel goes off for 350. I think he's got a very good shot at 350, 3 touchdowns. And once again, I'm going to preach Marvin Mims.
Yeah.
Give the dude the rock. Just feed him. make them cover or double team Marvin, and then guys like Jaleel Farouk and Drake are running wide open. That just do that. And it sounds simple, I know, but folks, I am telling you, if OU can't put up 40 points on this Nebraska defense, we got some issues. So that's just the way I feel. That's the way.
It sounds simple because it is simple. The best college football teams get their best players the ball when they can, as often as they can. Alabama doesn't worry when they toss the ball to Jamison Williams 15 times in a game because it works. Yeah. And Marvin Mims is that kind of a player for us. He is a dominant wide receiver. He's faster than every corner you put on him. He's quicker than everyone who tried to cover him. I just want to continue that passing share. Just keep throwing him the ball.
All right, boys. So I want to go ahead and go around. Everybody give me one thing you're looking for in the OU Nebraska game this week. I want to start with Matt. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. OU's defense only giving up 20 points. I think that's the mark. If we hold them under Nats, it's going to be a good football game. Go defense.
Mark, what you got?
So we talked about it a little bit earlier. Just, it's going to be a different kind of environment than the guys are used to. How does everyone react to that, specifically the offensive line? They haven't looked good. They haven't looked solid. DG hasn't looked comfortable behind them. And now they're coming together with their main group in a very hostile environment. What does that look like? That's what I'll be zeroing in on, offensively at least.
For me, it's Jaleel Farouk. We heard Levy talk about him. We know that he hasn't gotten the ball. We know he's not, I don't want to say not happy about it because we don't know that for sure, but I'm sure he wants the ball thrown his way more. If they're going to go through the effort in getting Jaleel the ball this week, watch for him to make some plays. I think he has the ability, and they know he has the ability. If he has a breakout game, I feel like it's this one, because so many eyes after last week, I think, are going to be on Marvin and focus on Drake as well. I think Jaleel has the ability to come in and be a game breaker at that wide receiver position. Patrick, what you got?
Yeah, mine's super similar. I want to see us unlock the full potential of our wide receiver room. I feel like we haven't had a game where 3 or 4 of those guys are all having great games. Weiss, Willis, Mims, Farouk, Stoops. I want to see at least 4 of them having a great game this weekend. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Love it. Ryan, round us out, man.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Brent Venables does. He had a fantastic first game and then dropped from nowhere in game 2. So I want to see if he bounces back, which, like, we know he can play. We've seen it, but is he able to do it consistently? So that's what I want to see.
Perfect. Let us know down below in the comments what you expect to see from this OU and Nebraska